Great. So today I've got Raghavendra with me, joining us to share his experiences and insights with our global audience. Before we go to the set of topics, we'd like to formally introduce Raghavendra to our audience. Raghavendra is a seasoned operational leader with over 27 years of experience across supply chain, healthcare, automotive manufacturing as well. He currently serves as a head of operations at Involution Healthcare, where he has established Asia's largest cath lab manufacturing facility and has led multiple global certification initiatives. He has a prior leadership roles at GE Healthcare and Bosch. He brings deep expertise in plant modernization, supplier development, and operational excellence using Lean Six Sigma methodologies. A very unique profile. There are very few people like you, Raghavendra, in this country, I think.
Yeah, it has been an opportunity that came across, and it's what you say, like it's a once in lifetime opportunity to work in such big companies, and that is what has shaped me what I'm today.
Right. No, so we will kind of want to pick up your mind on a few topics that we have created today. Is that the first one is that you have established one of the largest cath lab manufacturing facilities in Asia. Can you walk us through what it takes to build a world-class manufacturing operation from scratch and the biggest challenges that you faced?
See, first of all, establishing a world-class manufacturing facility, there should be a vision. The company had that vision, and being part of the leadership team, we always dreamt of having a vision. And this is a startup company that I'm talking about, which wanted to have a growth and wanted to have build a cath lab footprint in India that is going to be the largest and to cater to the entire world's requirement.
Yes.
So, when you ask me what it requires, it's first the vision that is required.
Mm.
The company's vision, the management's vision to be the world class, and also have that it should be the biggest one. So that large scale thinking is very important. And then how did I establish it? How did I get things in place? Again, it's the vision drilled down into execution. So how did it start? Basically, we started off with the one having a complete value stream mapping. They say it is not that the company was not there; it was already there. It was already had its footprints, and we were in a rented facility where we were doing good.
Yeah.
And then we said that yes, this is the time that we have to take a leap of faith and grow bigger than the vision that is there. And that is when the value stream mapping for the existing process was already there. From there, a value stream design was done. That is developing a futuristic map, like how would a facility would look like when it's in full functionality, which is currently it is happening. When I say, just to give you a brief on the value stream mapping, it's basically identifying the value chains in the processes. It starts from the gate and ends at the gate. When I say start from the gate, it is the entry point for anything, for any material to come in, and
Yes.
it's the ending point where any material has to go out. So
Yes.
with that thought process, we built up a plan. Like value stream, the existing value stream mapping was there, the current state was there, and a future state was designed considering what would it look, the company would look after 10 years, 15 years. How would we take care of the new products that has come, existing product, expansion, new products, and any new futuristic thought process. So this was the key top line that we had. And from there, we split up. Like basically, see, facility is one point. That is the best in class. Then it is just not the facility that happens. It's also what you have in the quality requirement systems that
Yes.
needs to be established. So facility establishment will include places for people, places for operations, places for storage, all those things, which is basically thinking about what is the futuristic plan. Then there is also quality management system, which is very prime for a best-in-class facility. Then there is also statutory requirements. So without the statutory requirement, it cannot be operational. Considering these things, a project plan was made. Say that one vertical will look at only the execution phase. That is, get how the facility, where we look for the facility, what should be our facility requirement. Currently, it's about a 3.5 acre plan, and it is about 12.5 lakhs of area has already been built there. So what needs to be built, how we have to think about expansion that will be there in the current facility. That is a execution phase. And that was a detailed work breakdown was done to see that regular weekly plan, monthly plan till the facility is ready. Now, this is one piece of it. Then comes the statutory requirement because you need to have the layout plan approved before starting anything. And we need to have the final OC up to which the plant is not ready. And in between is the QMS system because once the facility is ready, you will have to look at it, though it is in parallel. Like the facility cannot be ready without the QMS system in place. So both to go in hand, but these were put up as a broad the project planning. And if you ask me about the challenges that are there, basic challenge, I would say the project itself, the magnitude of having the biggest cath lab manufacturing itself is a big challenge because you need to really scale it up. Basically, looking at tact time, current tact time, we know what the customer expects every month or every year. That you need to scale up for what happens next 5 years, and this is one piece of the projection. Then there is also new products that are coming in. So what is the tag for that? So based on that, the facility is geared up with along with thinking about what would be the resource planning. How would we have the infrastructure ready for such a scale up? So first thing is this project itself. Then it's the resources. Like because when you have such large scale, it is not that one person can execute. We need to have different teams. So when I said that facility and QMS and statutory. For each one of that, there was people who was represented who would take stock of what is happening on a regular basis. Plus, all this has to be converged into a regular weekly OPMEC where we see that if anything is going wrong or if there is need to pivot somewhere or if there is any budget constraint. So all these things were regularly reviewed. So the second biggest challenge, the resource management, and definitely the budget would play a key role in how do we really allocate and at the time of need, you need the budget to be available. The next important thing, because this is taking care of the project plan of building the facility. And during this process, there should not be disruption to the existing customer. So they should not be aware. Like it should be like it's a behind the scenes. These things are happening, and customer doesn't know anything about what is happening.
Yes.
And it's only that final when you unveil, na, like when the curtain goes up, that's when they get to see the entire picture. So these were things which were there, and maybe I also gave out like how did we address the challenges, like basically breaking down the work structure, having leaders into the project planning. Each one did their part of it and tried to see whenever there is escalation required, jump in. And also there are certain smaller minor teething issues that come up, but we try to see that that's all handled. And finally, the facility is ready. And how the customer did not know about all these things, we tried to keep some buffer stock and we planned for the exact movement of the facility to ensure that we are compliant from the QMS perspective and the statutory, because it is like unless the QMS certification is there, you can't start manufacturing. And unless the statutory approval comes, you can't start manufacturing. So we had to see that these things are in place, what is bare minimum required to ensure that the facility happens. And till that time, the existing facility is not completely shut down. This was how we managed that.
There are so many moving pieces, in this entire thing.
Right, right.
Like such a tough
Yes,
task, like because
it's a tough task, but when you are going through that journey, it's very interesting and sometimes frustrating. Sometimes
easy
also,
for like you who came from GE or Bosch background
yeah.
because you have already handled bigger projects in the past.
Correct, correct, correct. So, see what happens is with this amount of experience, you know that in the projects where all things can go wrong, you can anticipate. That's what the experience gives you that bandwidth. So most of the things there is even now in the any QMS system or any certification, if you see there, it's called a risk-based approach. Basically, you try to identify what all risks are there what all business continuity plan need to be done. So these things really help you. So once you've gone through all these things, so this systematic approach comes
Yes.
into play, where you can anticipate 90% of the problems that can come in, and then 10% would always be there, for which you need to think as you get along. Think on the foot when you feel, when you know that there are certain things coming up, plan to pivot, bring in more resources. Those things are there. Plan some extra budget. That is all there. But basically, that high level planning is very, very important.
And, kind of when we were looking at your previous experiences, we saw that you have led multiple technology transfer and localization initiatives.
Right.
Can you share an example where transferring global manufacturing capabilities locally significantly improved efficiency, cost, and supply chain resilience?
Yeah. So I would say, see, I've been throughout the 27 years of experience. I would say at least 20 years I have been involved in some or the other kind of transfers. The initial phase of career, it was more on outsourcing the existing inside process to the suppliers. Then there was also transfers from different sites, basically for productivity, basically for consolidation, because Bosch, they wanted to have one location for manufacturing of certain components. So that is where the consolidation piece was there. Then there was also productivity, where the transfers happened because of the low cost of manufacturing of the India facilities that were there. But to give you a essence, the important, I would say, the transfers that were there was, one was a technology transfer from Bosch Italy to India. Why this is important? Because that is when the Bharat stage two norms were getting inside. This was basically a pollution control for that were trying to limit the emissions from vehicles. So this transfer was important for the technology, that is the common rail fuel injection system started getting in there. So this transfer was important to take care of the India norms. To meet the India norms, we had, Bosch is the pioneer in fuel injection manufacturing, and they have solutions for everything. And this solution was already there in European markets. So the solution, the fuel injection pump, the common rail diesel fuel injection pump requirement was transferred from Bosch Italy to Bosch India. Now, during this transfer, definitely the India market is known for productivity. Labor is very economical, and by nature, the facility cost, we are good in managing the costs.
Yes.
We have been taught about managing cost, I would say, right from childhood. Every kid would be given a piggy bank to ensure that he saves something. So that is an inbuilt characteristics of any Indian, I would say. So when the transfer happened, so what we definitely looked at is, what is the investment required, and the initial thought process was, how do we convert the existing the machineries that are there, so that we can take care of the technology transfer easily without increasing. See, whenever there is a cost, it increases the base cost, in the sense it adds to the fixed cost.
Yes.
Now that fixed cost need to be recovered, and there is depreciation. It takes time. Any big project would take about 5 to 10 years to recover all your initial investment.
Payback
So
period.
yeah, so initial investment, if it is as low as possible, that will help to make margins on your product. So when the technology transfer from Italy happened, we tried to utilize the machineries that were there, tried to utilize the skill of people that were existing, so that the resource is taken care. It is just the bit of training, people going and getting it trained and then utilizing it. Plus, wherever there was a technology gap, that those things were imported from, that is, the used machines were refurbished and then taken out and implemented in India. Already the quality management system was already there. Bosch has a uniform quality management system which was already established. What we need to do was only transfer the technology, get the validation of the product done, and release it into the market. So, what I wanted to say was, this technology transfer was not mainly a productivity one, but it was an important milestone for the India manufacturer to establish a fuel injection pump for the Indian pollution requirement. Okay. So that was the first transfer which I worked on, which was a major one. Then there was also transfer which I worked on in GE. It was a refurbishing of CT that laid the foundation, because till then there was no CT manufacturing in India. So that platform was required to establish a CT manufacturing in India at an uh, economical cost. Again, coming back, it started off with trying to understand the technology. So refurbishing, basically you don't, it's already a product that is being installed somewhere. You deinstall and then bring it back and do a basic, I would compare it to any servicing of a vehicle, four-wheeler or two-wheeler vehicle servicing. So
Yeah.
refurbishing is such kind of activity. So bring it in, change the minimum critical components in that, and then test it and ship it out. And as a part of troubleshooting and testing process, you learn the technology, how the CT can be manufactured. So it started off with that transfer. Then the next level was get the SKDs and then do the integration and testing. And then today you can see that GE Healthcare is able to deliver a CT manufactured in India for the world. So it started off there, technology was established, and then today a value product is being manufactured here. Basically, the Indian skill set and the low cost of manufacturing has aided in a value product, which now is a like benchmark product for the world.
And also, whenever we talk about manufacturing, supplier development and quality management becomes very important.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
uh, would love you to touch upon, what are the key principles in building a reliable supplier ecosystem that can
Right.
support a, large scale and high precision manufacturing?
Okay. So it's a very good point, because see, if you look at a complete supply chain, it starts at the supplier and ends at the customer. They say it SPOC, supplier, process, and then outsourcing, and then it goes to the customer.
Okay.
So this is how it goes. Now, supplier is very critical. I told you, I had worked in Bosch as to transfer the in-house process to supplier. Now, supplier transfer, key principle I would say, one is you have an established process and you know that it's already it is in the break of the process. There is nothing more to add to it.
Yeah.
That is when, and the process would not impact your final product quality. So when you know that, you can outsource it. Second, if there is a technology gap, like certain times you don't have those technology to manufacture a product, that is when you outsource it to a supplier. These are the two key things when we would like to outsource a process or a product to a supplier.
Yeah.
Now, usually what happens is the suppliers are considered as a vendor who gives us part. But it's actually much more than that. They are our business wing. They are our business partners. And I would also go one step and I'd say they are all the younger generation in the family, I would say. Because they are the kids. If you have to put it in right word, they are the kids, because
Mm.
if you if you take them, if you don't groom them well, or if you don't take a proper step in establishing a process at the supplier, that will end up as a defect in manufacturing. And the root cause, or if it goes to customer, getting back the whole thing and doing a field transfer, field recovery is or recall is a bigger activity and it costs. So in the interest of cost, it is always, when we make a supply chain, I'll go back to my lean principle of value stream mapping. In that, whatever parts come in, it has to be at the right quality, right pricing. Now, there can be a lot of debate around right pricing and right quality, but when I say quality, the quality piece is that a process should be established first. Usually, what happens is companies try to just establish supplier giving just a checklist. But what I used to do is I would now segregate it into two pieces. One is NPI, that is when the new product is getting introduced. The second piece on the existing supplier development. Now, NPI stage, it is very, very important for an early engagement, because supplier give the part, then it is converted into finished goods in the
Yes.
factory. So supplier, when he has to manufacture the part, right, his early engagement becomes very important. The design will manufacture a product. Then there is design transfer to manufacturing, and that manufacturing is at three stages. One is supplier stage, one is in-house manufacturing, and the third place is with the service, the installation piece. Now, supplier comes first. So the supplier has to give DFM, that is design for manufacturing. He has to come out with all his problems. Now, once all the inputs are there, the critical inputs from the supplier, it can be either attacked through process, like proper fixturing, introduce a POCOYOC, introduce inspection methodology. So that is possible. Or the design can help in understanding the limitation of the supplier and then do a design change, design modification. But the DFM feedback from a supplier is very critical. So his early engagement becomes very important. And the second piece, when the supplier is about to give the product, it is always important to have process mapping at the supplier and try to see where, means when you look at the process flow diagram of how the part is being manufactured at the supplier, you would definitely know from the drawing there are critical dimensions.
Yes.
And for all critical dimensions, it is important to have either a poker or a specific control so that you know that the part that is produced, the first pass yield is 100%. Basically, see again, quality it should be 100%. That is one. And supplier efficiency should be one. And supplier rejection should also be one. When these three are there, no, 1 into 1 into 1, that is 100 into 100, it becomes 100% becomes 100. Now, if one of that, imagine the supplier performance or the efficiency is at 50%. That means the whole process 1 into 1 into 0.5 means
Becomes
it only 50%.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So this is very important. So that's where you will have to bring up the supplier to be at 100% always. His quality, cost, delivery. It's not that it is his problem. It is important for the OEMs or the I would say the manufacturer who is getting the part. It plays an important role. It is not controlled by the supplier. Yes, to 50% he is controlling it, but the design of the product, the design of the process, and what is expected out of him when he delivers a product. These three definitely impacts the quality, cost, and delivery. Now, if he is front flagging up answer at the beginning of the stage, that means definitely that product is going to end up in some kind of a defect or some kind of a delivery delays when the product reaches the factory. So it is very important. Early engagement should address all these points. So this is where the supply development is very critical during the NPI stages. Input the right resources, right fixturing, right inspection methodology, that is the measurement system and all those things, then you can have minimum checklist. Usually what I see is people give a big laundry list of checklists to suppliers and ask them to fill it. Now, what happens is if there is no process control, no, they just fill it up for the heck of it. Now, the part quality is as good as the process. It can't go beyond that. Even if you put a checklist, it can be rejection at his place, and then he'll come up and saying that I'm having so much rejection. Either he'll ask for cost or he'll ask us to accept as is. So that is where it's important. Don't instead of focusing on the checklist, it is focusing on the process and the process controls. So this is very important from an NPI perspective. Now the second phase is already a product is been given to a supplier. Maybe when we want to establish an existing process, which is in-house process that needs to be established at a supplier place. Now, what do we do? First, fix the controls, fix the processes at in-house. All quality requirements or all the defects that are arising in-house should be addressed. The process in-house should be capable of delivering 100%. That is when outsource it. Now, during the point of outsource, it can be two things. Either give the existing machineries, giving the existing fixturing. That is what we did it in Bosch because we know Bosch has a company which is very good in process. It's a process-driven company. So every processes that are already established used to go to supplier. Now,
Got it.
yeah. So this ensures that we know whatever comes, it will be equivalent to what is there in house.
That is such a marvelous point, actually. The focus
Yes,
should be on the transfer of the right processes to the supplier rather than just marking the checklist.
exactly. And then give a target to supplier to improve it because see you have already given him how to prepare the food. Now what tadka he has to put that he can plan and then improve it further because see they will also work on how to make it productive. They can make it productive by doing cost reduction.
Yes.
They can make it productive by improving their processes, reducing the defect. So
Yes.
these definitely a target has to be given, which needs to be monitored during a regular audits. It can be process audit, it can be QMS audit, it can be even having workouts. So now I'll come to the next piece where the existing supplier, where already process was in established. What I used to do was we used to have a trend of how the supplier defect used of the supplier defects in terms of delivery or in terms of quality. So quality based on the DPPM at the supplier, and delivery if it is impacted by any of his processes where he's saying coming back and saying there is quality issues. Now, what the approach that I followed was simple. There is a Japanese concept called quality circle. It
Yes.
basically start off identify a problem and identify the resource. It can be key resources. Usually, when I was in supplier quality, I used to take people from the process engineering because they know what is the input requirement. Basically, consider them as a customer and then take design because they are the originator of any product.
Yes.
And me from the supplier quality was always there. So, form a small team, go at supplier, tell the supplier that we are coming on such a date, have the analysis of the operator, have the top defects from that supplier,
Yes.
and analyze his process mapping, basically where exactly the defect is arising, and then have a work or 3 days workout or 4 days workout where identify each and every like these three people. That is the in process quality person, production process engineer, and myself, and the design team. So each one will attack each different processes where we see there is a potential defect arising and fix. Usually, what happens at the supplier testing, there would be gap in the testing process. Means he would have been given testing at the component level.
Yes.
Maybe when it is tested at a product level, certain things may not be tested at the component, which cannot be tested at the component level. Now, this can induce a defect.
Yes.
So, trying to find the process, the gap in testing, so that improve, so that that gap can be arrested, so that defect is curtailed at supplier place. Now, defect alone, curtailing the defect alone will not help. The next level is look at the process.
Yes.
What is giving rise to this problem, and then attack that problem. And this case, we will have supplier expertise when he understands that at a system level we are testing this, and this is where the defect is getting originated. Because most of the time, no, when a product is established, they don't even get to know what is happening at the customer place. They
Yes.
only get to see that there is a defect, and they try to see how to solve that problem. And most of the time, they don't. It would come back as a no problem zone. My process is perfect. This is my process. This is my testing, and we are not solving it. So when we do a targeted action oriented workout, that is when we get to know that the defect can be solved at the supplier, and the supplier will be very happy to host the because he also wants to get rid of the problem. Nobody is interested in continuing with the problem because they can look at something other productive activities. So this quality work circle, what I said, this has helped. So for the existing quality circle, for an NPI, it is early engagement and giving the requirements well in advance. And for the regular process which are going on, it's basically the audit as per the requirement. These three things will ensure that supplier are always on par with the factory requirement. And basically, it's an extended, they are the business partners. Along with that, always appreciate them. Once you start appreciating, because everybody needs appreciation. So when you start appreciating people, they also try to do good. And they try, and when they see that it is helping their productivity by reducing the defects, everybody would like to contribute. And that's when you establish a strong, stable supply chain.
Sir, I must say one thing, the things that I learned in the last 10 minutes, I think no MBA college in the world will teach you this.
MBA would give you a jargon of certain things like productivity, lean manufacturing, all those things.
Exactly, because the best part is that, you kind of related it so well with your experience of working across GE, Bosch, and now Involution,
Exactly. Yes.
that it makes a lot of sense when somebody. So I think all the supply chain leaders, manufacturing leaders who will be listening this podcast, they would love this. They would
Sure.
love this.
Yeah.
I have never heard somebody explain these concepts so crystal clear as you have done, sir.
Because I walked this through the journey of supply development or outsourcing process. So know the when you take pain and learn it and with passion,
Yes.
you won't forget it. Yeah.
Great, sir. Now, the next question that we have is that, you have led plant modernization and productivity transformation initiatives as well.
Right.
Can you share a situation where modernization significantly improved operational performance or business outcome?
So, plant modernization and productivity, they go in hand in hand. So, plant modernization, just for the heck of putting in fancy equipment, that would not help because that would add cost. It would add product cost. It would add fixed cost.
Hmm.
And then, if it is not serving any productivity, then it's as good as sunk cost. When in plant modernization, four things are involved. I call it as a 4D framework. One, if the process is dull. Two, if the process is dirty. Three, if the process is dangerous. And four, if the process is dear. In the sense, first one talks about it's a repetitive process. When it's dull, means any person, if you ask him to pick the part from a bin and then put it onto another bin and then take it to a nearest location and put it across. So it's a no brainer job. Even you train him, he'll just go and then keep doing it.
Yes.
One. Second, that's an opportunity for the automation or the improvement piece. Then second is the I said is about 30. 30 in the sense like it's a environmentally hazardous workplace. Like imagine there is a painting process. There are fumes coming out. So you are exposing your employees, your skilled employee for a hazardous situation. So that requires automation, right? Because somebody, it does not mean that the cost of employee is very economical and we are afford to like let's put some 10 people and then each one keep doing the painting process. Or basically it is also human life, so we value the human life a lot. So dirty process is that. So there it's an opportunity for land modernization. And then comes the dangerous. It's basically the safety. Imagine somebody is working in a hot oven, which is about 100 centigrade. That does not, it's really a dangerous situation. Or a forging. There is a 2-ton press coming and falling on a component. And the possibility that the person knowingly or unknowingly, he keeps his hand inside. So that's again a dangerous process. Those things require automation. And the last one is definitely dearness is productivity. So you always, when the product cost is at the minimum, that's when it's very highly appreciated that you go for you keep the product cost at the minimum. So these are the 4D frameworks, I would say. And in the process, investment to make a plant modernization should not be like you invest heavily for a simple two product. Like I would just give an example of what I did. There was a table movement. MRI. There is a
Yes.
table, and the table moves in and out inside the uh, coil. That's the gantry. So it moves in and out. Now, for there is a small assembly. It has two outer cover and then a bearing inside for assisting the movement. What was happening is a person was his job was come early in the morning, put a bearing inside and put the cover, press it, and then give it for assembly. So it was like in the whole shift, he was able to do about 300 odd. And there was also when the field replacement or the service requirement also was there for this because after some time the bearing used to get worn out or it used to get damaged that needs to be replaced in the field. Now, one person continuously in the first shift and second shift doing just the assembly piece of it. It did not make sense. So a simple automation was designed where there are pneumatic, you say, is a conveyor.
Yes.
Top and bottom covers were there, and then it used to feed the bearing. Both used to come. It was a conveyor line, small conveyor line. They used to get assembled, and within 1 hour, what the person used to do in a shift, this machine used to do it. Now, person's job was only to load the cassette and allow it to do the processing. So within 1 hour, whatever was required for the shift production was taken care. Now, a simple automation future in the future when there is a new design of the table or the rail that happens, then scrapping this, I would have already got my ROI on the investment because a person is able to do it and within 1 or 2 months I got my ROI on the investment that I made. Now, if there is a design change that happens after a year, I can still see if I can use some of this component from this, or even if I scrap it, it doesn't really impact the cost of the fixed cost or the cost of the product. So I'm trying to give it a simple because don't go for a automation which is like you invest very high cost on it. It should be a simple one which will make sense, and it should address the production issues,
Yes.
manufacturing issues. That's how the plant modernization is thought about. In fact, even in Bosch, there was SPM. There's a special purpose machine, but that machine can be adapted for anything. Some 8 processes which 8 people were sitting and doing drilling, milling, machining, deburring. That was converted into one single rotary SPM, which you have to take care of the 2 shift production in 1 shift, thereby increasing productivity. And those 8 people who were there, they did not lose the job, but they were trained, given a different set of skill, and then deployed into other areas. So with the existing people, new any expansions that are required can be handled. So plant modernization about trying to see that how we can improve the efficiency of the current manufacturing process, reduce the cost, and it should be a simple one, effective one, when I say effective, it should be a cost-effective solution.
Yes.
Basically, 4 deep approach.
That's OD and $1 innovation, like, yes.
Right. So
Yes.
that's how it's.
Yes. And absolutely, sir. I think somebody like you can only kind of identify these $1 innovation because you have been deep into manufacturing. Most of the times, what I see is that people who are handling digital transformation in a lot of companies, they have less or negligible experience of working on the, shop floor.
Right. So this, I would give the most of my credit to working in Bosch, because Bosch is a process intensive company. Because uh, when I was working there, there was machinery shop, was heat treatment. We were exposed to all the processes that are available, and it's very interesting that you get time, you make time and see the processes, understand what is happening there, so that being a process engineer, you need it.
Yes.
I would say 1/4 of my journey is related to establishing processes either in-house or at supplier. So you need to have the latest technology that are available. And one example I would give also is, once we had processes from Czech Republic, where they used to have the existing product retrofit, existing machinery retrofit, and give the same quality level as a new machine. So this gives us a thought process, like, do we really need to make an investment? So always investment should be backed up by the economical cost benefit analysis. Unless until that is done, investment, see, if a company is doing well, investment becomes very easy. But is it really necessary? Should we really invest in something very complex and then add more risk to the process, or more because every new process getting added, it brings in a new risk. So you need to mitigate that. You need to have resources for mitigating that. Instead, you have something known risk inside the facility, and then try to address that and try to see how that can be scaled up to ensure that the product that we manufacture is as per the latest requirement. Because having without upgrade also, it is difficult, and upgrade it without even thinking, just like that, introducing a new thing which is very costly is also difficult.
Right, sir. Now, the last question is like, when you look back at your journey across healthcare and automotive manufacturing,
Right.
what are those leadership principles that have helped you successfully scale operations, manage teams, and deliver consistent excellence?
So it's about 27 years now. And what I would say is, for anybody to have a good career, good excellence in terms of growth in the organization, and also taking care of the people, it would come in different stages. Now, first 8 years of your experience would definitely be in understanding, learning, because you need to dirty your hands. And if you don't dirty your hands, uh, when it gets into the next leg of your career, there are people who can take you for a ride.
Yes.
Means it's easy. It's easy for people to tell something which may not align with the requirement. So if you want to be a good leader in the field that you are in, try to have complete knowledge, have established the depth in the process. Then the next leg would be trying to implement things, and at the same time, you're trying to build, understand, learn new things. Whatever you have learned in the first phase, implement those things. Then next comes the final stage where you are mentoring, you are taking care of the team. So your initial experience becomes very important for taking care of the teams in future. One is your technical expertise that is required is very important. Then it's always very important to have a visit to the Gemba. Gemba is the place where things are happening. Whenever there is conflict or whenever you need to address a issue, go to that
mm,
actual spot if possible. Most of the time, because in manufacturing, I see this happening. So when you are at
yeah,
the location where the issue is happening, that is when it is easy for us to understand the
mm,
reality. Because when two teams are there, I would say that when the conflict is there, this is very important for a conflict resolution. You need
yeah,
to go to visit the Gemba, then
yeah,
identify what is gone wrong. That is when it becomes easier to analyze
mm,
what is the issue. Because most of the time, what I've seen is people are right in their side of it. So I'm right
mm,
where I am, the other person is right where he is. Uh, it requires a bigger picture to understand and tell the team that the expectation is something else. Means usually I relate it to the customer expectation. Customer is
mm,
expecting something, and the conflict is both of them are right, standing right at their part, but not
mm,
addressing the customer issue. Then people understand and they work together to ensure that the final endpoint is met. So conflict resolution can be done with visiting the game, having both the parties in front of you and then trying to resolve it. Then it's always important to have catch up with the technologies, because today certain technologies are there. I would say 8 to 10 years, 15 years back, it was
mm,
the AI was not there. There was some other systems which was in place.
mm,
It was more of analog. The
mm,
digital thing was slightly catching up. But today,
mm,
AI and other advanced technologies are available. But if I still go back and start using the old methodologies, it may not make
mm,
sense. So, as a leader, you should be updated with the latest technologies that are available so that decision
mm,
making becomes faster. It can be cost. See, again, everything in a supply chain falls under quality, cost, delivery, and the
mm,
safety and employment. These are the five pillars around which the supply chain is concentrated. So, when you have the latest technology, you will look at it and see whether which what is important from the customer perspective. And customer, the overall whatever decisions are made, it should be in looking at the customer in place and have an holistic approach. You should always look
mm.
at end to end. Most of the time, people get hooked on to their departments or their
Yes.
processes. But when you look at the complete picture end to end, see, initial phase of career, you may not be looking at those things because you have been given a task, and you once you execute the task, you are good enough there. And when
Mm,
you are in the mid career, it is basically you would be trying to either get things done, or you will do some portion of it and give it to others for doing it. Then in the final stage, that is when you are at the leadership level, you have to be looking at a complete picture. You need to know what is happening in house. You need to know what is the customer expecting, and whatever decisions are made has to be at a holistic level. And always the team is looking for recognition, and it is not just
mm,
the team, anybody, I would say. So usually leaders try to compete with the team. You don't have to
mm,
compete with them. You have to guide them, you have to coach them, and you have to appreciate the good things that have been done. And when I say appreciation, it is not just your team, it can
mm,
be team from other department also. When you appreciate, people will understand that what you are trying to look at. People will come back. Like today, when I'm leading operations, I get people from design, I get people from quality, I get people from, and each one has his requirement, and each one comes back. Sometimes there are concerns, sometimes there are requirements, but when you take care of all those things, and when the team does a good job overall, that is when it you need to appreciate that. Because if you don't appreciate, the team morale will be like, whatever we do, we don't get anything. It need not be a monetary appreciation. It can be a one liner saying that these people have done good. So this is very important. This is very critical. And then conflicts are that at the time of conflict, you have to be very cool. You have to understand what is the end requirement. You have to understand what the team is bringing up to the table. If it is a really healthy conflict, it is good to understand, debate, try to find a solution, and move forward. If it is a non-healthy one, it is good to nip it at the bud. So that's the thing that should be there. And finally, I would say that give
mm,
constructive feedback one on one. And when you are appreciating, appreciate in the bigger forum and try to solve a issue rather than solving targeting a person. If you start with it is a technical knowledge, then conflict resolution, keeping the final end goal in place, and appreciating teams where required. These three things are very critical, and always have a holistic approach. Look at from end to end. These are certain things which will be very critical when you are in the leadership. Yeah. Apart from these two, the other thing that I see as a critical thing for leadership is uh, you should not micromanage the team. That's very critical. Allow them, give them free hand so that they do what is required. Give them the direction. Try to have regular connects so that we know that they are not losing track of the final, the task that is designed. By micromanaging, people become, sometimes it is good, but then it is expected that every time you do the micromanagement, and they know that the team knows that, okay, if I make a mistake, there's somebody to look at it. So if you want to if you want to get the best out of people, allow them, give them the necessary tools, skill set, and that brings us to the next point, that is the training. It's always important to train the people, give them the best so that they give their best. So if a person is not well trained, then he can't execute what is required. So it's important. Usually people think that if we train the people might leave, but it is not. It's the other way around. When you train, you get the best out of the person. So you nurture them and get things out of them, and always have the trust in the team. So it's very important, and have a regular connect. Have always, it is important to have one-on-ones where in the one-on-ones it's important to talk about tasks, but that should be just 10 minutes. Then the remaining part of the discussion should be more on trying to understand where the person is finding it difficult to work in the organization, what help is required, what training is required. So this will make things easier, and you will get the best out of the person.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on this podcast and sharing your insights with our
Thank you.
audience.
Thank you. Thanks for your time also.